Birdman has been a key figure in the music industry and is known for his business acumen, who together with his brother Slim built Cash Money Records, which has been influential in shaping the hip-hop scene, producing numerous successful albums and artists over the years. Birdman, the well-known stage persona of Brian Christopher Williams, made his entrance into the world on February 15, 1969, at Charity Hospital in New Orleans, Louisiana. Born to Johnny Williams Jr. and Gladys Brooks, an interesting twist in his early days involved his father Johnny choosing not to sign the birth certificate. Consequently, Brian initially adopted his mother's surname Brooks. For the first month after his birth, Brian lacked an official first name and was simply known as Baby, a nickname that has stuck with him to this day. During his formative years, Baby and his family lived above a bar owned by his father, Johnny Williams, an ex-military man with multiple businesses, including a laundromat in New Orleans. The bar, situated on Saratoga Street in uptown 3rd Ward, New Orleans, was named after Baby's mom. Due to certain circumstances, Johnny couldn't register the bar in his name, leading to it being associated with Baby's mother. Johnny's bar became a popular haunt for hustlers, drug dealers, pimps, and prostitutes. However, tragedy struck during Brian's childhood when his mother, Gladys Brooks, fell seriously ill and passed away in 1975 when Brian was just 5 years old. Following this heart-wrenching loss, Birdman, along with his siblings Kim and Slim and their nephew Kevin, found themselves under the guardianship of their uncle. This situation led to a 2-year period of residence in Prince George, British Columbia, Canada. Around the age of 8 or 9, they moved back to the U.S., and Baby and Slim checked into a boys' home due to the absence of a legal guardian. During this time, he was later taken in by a white family and adopted for about a year. Meanwhile, Johnny Williams, Baby's father, had remarried a woman named Patricia. The turning point came when Johnny discovered that his children were placed in foster care. This revelation sparked a prolonged legal battle in the mid-70s, ultimately involving Johnny and his wife in their effort to regain custody of the children. Johnny would later win custody of his minor children. Afterwards, Brian's name underwent a change to Brian Williams, symbolizing a fresh start for the family. Baby, along with his siblings, moved back to live with Johnny and Patricia, setting up their home in the Magnolia Projects located in Central City, New Orleans. It was during this period that Brian developed a profound bond with his stepbrother, Eldrick Wise. Wise took on the role of mentoring Baby in the art of street survival and navigating the life of a hustler. The allure of the streets proved irresistible to the young duo, particularly as they observed impeccably dressed and adorned hustlers who were regulars at Gladys Baby's family bar. Adapting swiftly to his surroundings, Baby seamlessly embraced the hustle, and it soon became second nature to him. The streets evolved into his way of life. With drug dealing came big money, which led to hood credibility and notoriety. Baby started buying clothes, cars, and houses. Baby and Eldrick delved into a life of crime, engaging in robberies and selling narcotics from a tender age, ultimately leading to their first arrest at the age of 16. Subsequently, at 18, they faced another arrest, this time for drug possession, resulting in a 3-year sentence at the Elaine Hunt Correctional Center in St. Gabriel, Louisiana. After serving 18 months of their sentence, Baby was released, but tragically, Eldrick's fate took a grim turn. He became the first of the Williams siblings to succumb to the dangers of the streets, falling victim to a fatal incident. Upon his release from prison, Baby was resolute in pursuing legal avenues to earn a living, steering clear of the street life. He shifted his focus towards spending more time with his brother, Ronald Slim Williams, who was consistently recognized for his calm and laid-back demeanor. The influence of their father, Johnny Williams, had strongly shaped Slim's business-oriented mindset, always contemplating ways to generate income. Combining Slim's business acumen with Baby's sharp hustling instincts, the brothers forged a formidable partnership. This collaboration took shape in the late 1980s, a time when hip-hop was surging in popularity across the United States, with each region embracing distinct elements influenced by their local cultures. In New Orleans, the youth were captivated by a unique sound and aesthetic known as bounce music. In the 1980s, the New Orleans rap scene started to establish itself, with early rappers such as Tim Smooth, Warren Mays, Ninja Crew, and the group New York Incorporated gaining recognition. Notably, the latter group included Mia X, Denny D, DJ Wop, and Manny Fresh, making them possibly the first rap ensemble in the city. Following the disbandment of New York Incorporated, Manny Fresh collaborated with former Ninja Crew member Gregory D, and together they released a handful of influential records, although these may not have received widespread promotion at the time. Baby initially got the idea of starting a rap label from his younger brother Eldrick, who'd wanted to be a rapper before he passed away. Together with Slim, Baby hatched a plan during this era to integrate bounce music and New Orleans dance culture, envisioning the creation of exceptional records. Despite Baby's prior reputation in the city for his hustling prowess in the Magnolia Projects and his involvement in robbery sprees with his stepbrother Eldrick Wise, they were determined to channel their energy and talents into a new, legitimate venture. In 1992, they pressed forward and started their own record label, Cash Money Records. They took the name from the Cash Money Brothers gang featured in the film New Jack City, which was a source of inspiration at the time in 1991. Baby claims that by the time he was 20, he already had made $1 million in the streets as well as through real estate. He bought and sold houses. Additionally, Baby and Slim received backing from their father, who had managed Gladys's Bar for 27 years at that point. Furthermore, their half-brother, Terrence E. Williams, known as Gangsta, played a role in their support network. Gangsta was a member of the infamous Hot Boys, a D-boy clique consisting of his associates Sterling, Dooney, and Mosquito, distinct from the rap group of the same name. Baby and Slim traveled to nightclubs all over Louisiana to find hot artists to sign. They established an office building on the corner of Rampart and Tulane, an area that had once been known in New Orleans as Chinatown. Cash Money's first artist was a local named Kilo G. At the young age of 14, when Kilo G first met Baby and Slim, he was too underage to sign a contract. To overcome this hurdle, they had to take a ferry across the river to locate his grandmother, who signed on his behalf. Before the emergence of Manny Fresh and Lil Wayne, and preceding the era of fleets of Bentleys and yellow Hummers dominating the streets of New Orleans like an occupying force, there was the influential figure of Kilo G, along with his partner, Vic Diaz, Roland Smith, aka Big Ro, had produced Cash Money's first record, Kilo G's The Sleepwalker. They sold copies out of the trunk of Baby's car. Big Ro met Baby Williams in 1992 through a friend who worked the counter at Peaches Records on Gentilly Boulevard. At the time, Ro had returned from Houston, where he had been collaborating with the Ghetto Boys, and was unfamiliar with Williams. Their backgrounds were different. Ro hailed from downtown, while Baby was from uptown. However, despite the geographical divide, Brian Williams had a deep admiration for the Ghetto Boys and was on the lookout for a producer. Just before this encounter, he had hastily sketched a basic logo for Cash Money Records on a napkin. Kilo G's album didn't achieve the success they had hoped for, leaving Baby perplexed. He had a sense of what might have gone wrong. During that period, bounce music was gaining immense popularity in New Orleans, becoming omnipresent in the local scene. However, their approach had been more aligned with a Ghetto Boys style album, while Kilo G's The Sleepwalker featured songs like Psychopathic Killer and Kill His Family, with a gritty tone, tape hiss, and ominous references to Nightmare on Elm Street. It didn't resonate with the dance-centric preferences of the New Orleans audience. The Williams brothers were introduced by a local named Ziegler de Wiggler to a 7th Ward resident, DJ Manny Fresh, who'd recently returned to New Orleans after a stint with Gregory D. Baby and Slim's Cash Money's ascent was gradual before it turned into a rapid expansion. The label established itself as a regular presence in local clubs, often frequented by the community. These venues, with evocative names like Rumors, Detour, Whispers, and Ghost Town, became integral to Cash Money's early growth. The journey extended beyond New Orleans as they toured various cities in Louisiana. During this period, Cash Money's roster started to take shape, featuring artists from the label's overlooked initial generation. Pimp Daddy, UNLV, Lil Slim, and Miss T were among the talents contributing to the label's early foundation. Despite being the youngest, Kilo held a form of seniority within this cohort, reflecting the dynamic evolution of Cash Money Records. Recognizing the need to adapt to the local musical landscape, the Williams brothers enlisted the services of a new producer, Mannie Fresh. Consequently, Cash Money and Big Ro went their separate ways. Recording sessions subsequently took place at Mannie Fresh's house on Bartholomew Street in the 9th Ward. Fresh, a brilliant and prolific beatmaker, showcased a remarkable ability to tailor his approach to accommodate any voice or subject. Mannie Fresh's versatility and commitment played a crucial role in shaping Cash Money Records' evolving sound. Mannie Fresh's initial collaboration with the label involved PXMXWX, Project's Most Wanted, with Iberville as the specific project. PXMXWX comprised rapper Birdman, hype man Big Heavy, and Black Jack. Their debut album, Legalize Past the Weed, 1993, not only showcased the talents of PXMXWX, but also introduced new signees, Lil Slim, UNLV, and Mr. Ivan. Additionally, the album featured a collaboration with Bun B from Port Arthur, Texas, renowned for his role in the UGK fame. However, PXMXWX's release followed the debut of UNLV's 6th and Barone in 1993. The uptown-based UNLV, originating from 6th and Barone, initially consisted of Reginald Tech 9 Manuel and Yafet Lil Ya Jones. Formed in 1992, they began performing at block parties, clubs, and gong shows. Shortly after their inception, the charismatic and unpredictable Albert Yella Boy Thomas joined their ranks. Under Mannie Fresh's influence, with his bounce-inflected production and their distinctive call-and-response vocals, UNLV crafted a recognizable New Orleans style that blended bounce and gangsta rap, often referred to as gangsta bounce. This fusion became a defining characteristic of their music, reflecting the unique cultural blend of the city. Hollygrove's Lil Slim had an uncredited influence of his style heard in later label successes like Lil Wayne, whom he discovered, and Turk. Slim performed in Club 49 alongside another Slim, the Magnolia Slim, later Soulja Slim. The Game Is Cold, 1993, is also noteworthy for its inclusion of Pimp Daddy, a local bounce rapper of considerable importance and popularity. Baby, under the moniker B32, dropped the track titled I Need a Bag of Dope. 9th Ward star Edgar Pimp Daddy Givens released his debut, Still Pimpin', in 1994. During that period, Pimp Daddy was romantically involved with Cash Money's Miss T. However, another rapper, the former Mobo and then current Tombstone, and Mannie Fresh produced Queen of Bounce, Cheeky Black, asserted that she was the mother of Pimp Daddy's child. Tragically, not long after these events unfolded, Pimp Daddy met a violent end. He was shot in the face and killed while sleeping on the couch in the Florida projects. Alonzo, Mr. Ivan Newton, hailing from Congress Saint in the 9th Ward, stands out as another underappreciated rapper in the early Cash Money roster. Despite his notable efforts, Ivan's contributions often flew under the radar. He made a memorable impact by performing live in a hockey mask, adding a distinctive element to his stage presence. His album 187 in a Hockey Mask, 1994, was consistently solid and highlights his dynamic style, which bore a resemblance to the hyper-energized approach of fellow rappers like Six Shot and Mystical. Kilo G's aspirations grew more profound as well. By the time of his second album, The Bloody City, released in 1995, he experienced a revitalization fueled by the raw material of his own life. Since The Sleepwalker, he had made significant life changes, dropping out of school, moving in with his girlfriend, and becoming a father to his heir to the throne. The Bloody City is a monument in the early Cash Money catalog. At the same time, Kilo couldn't fail to notice that he remained poor. There were lavish gifts and flattering spectacle, but no real livelihood. The business's apparent success somehow didn't translate into royalty checks for the artists. The Williams brothers would go on to refine this practice into a management strategy. In 1995, several of the original Cash Money rappers released what would turn out to be their last albums for the label. This marked a significant shift as the Williams brothers, Baby and Slim, initiated a process of purging many of the talents that had played a crucial role in establishing the label. They asserted that issues with drugs hindered these artists from maintaining the necessary drive to expand Cash Money's presence beyond the confines of New Orleans. The year Kilo died, 1997, was a molting year in which the older generation dropped away in favor of the new. It marked the debut of the Hot Boys, Juvenile, BG, Lil Wayne, and Turk, and a dramatic thinning of the ranks. The original roster was on its way out. During this period, Cash Money's latest investments were two young talents, 13-year-old Lil Doogie, Christopher B.G. Dorsey, and 11-year-old Gangsta D, Dwayne Lil Wayne Carter. Although credited as a duo, their project, The BGZ True Story, 1995, with only 3 songs featuring the future Lil Wayne, is essentially owned by the future BG. On UNLV's Uptown for Life, 1996, Mannie Fresh crafted an impressive electronic landscape for the rappers. They transformed one track into what is undoubtedly one of the greatest songs in rap history, Drag 'Em in the River. Uptown for Life sold 200,000 copies, and local bounce legend Juvenile decided, after hearing it, to come to Cash Money. The Bee Gees released their second record, The Timeless Chopper City, 1996, which achieved sales of approximately 25,000 copies. Despite being credited to the Bee Gees, the reality is that it functions more as a solo record for Dorsey, as Lil Wayne was recovering after accidentally shooting himself in the chest. During this period, Wayne was temporarily taken off the label by his concerned mother. 3 years later, both albums by the Bee Gees were re-released and recredited, this time solely to BG. UNLV parted ways with Cash Money in a tumultuous manner. Yellowboy, in particular, reportedly confronted the situation with aggression, pistol-whipping Baby and firing shots into one of his trucks parked in front of the Melpomene projects. Sometime later, he was tragically shot in a drug deal gone bad. It was reported that after purchasing drugs from a particular D-boy, he was shot and killed in his vehicle. He was just 22 years old. In 1997, Baby, also known as Birdman, and Slim took significant steps to reshape their label, moving away from its original acts and welcoming new artists like Juvenile and BG. This marked the beginning of a new era for Cash Money Records, as the music industry finally began to take notice of the independent label's growing influence. Earlier on, in 1995, New Orleans Master P secured a substantial distribution deal with Priority Records. Upon his return to New Orleans from the Bay Area, he embarked on signing local talent, working alongside the production team known as Beats by the Pound. This move marked a significant step in Master P's efforts to expand his influence in the music industry. A natural rivalry emerged between No Limit and Cash Money, eventually escalating into a full-fledged beef triggered by TRU's breakout single, I'm Bout It, Bout It. According to Mannie Fresh, Cash Money's UNLV had initially introduced the phrase on record with their 1995 song, I'm Bout It, but Master P and TRU received credit for popularizing it due to the increased exposure from their Priority deal. This attribution didn't sit well with Cash Money, contributing to the intensification of the rivalry. The rivalry between No Limit and Cash Money intensified with Master P's signing of talent from the established Cash Money rival, Big Boy Records, particularly Mystical. The disses in the feud were generally subtle, unlike the more direct exchanges with Big Boy Records, as most members of the Cash Money and No Limit rosters had come up in the same circles and collaborated in some capacity. Ultimately, the beef became more about Baby versus Master P than a broader conflict between Cash Money and No Limit. Cash Money Records benefited from the increased attention on New Orleans brought about by No Limit's success. In 1997, the groundwork for Cash Money's own success was laid with Juvenile's debut on the label with Soul Ya Rags and BG's release of his second solo album, It's All on You Vol. 1. The collaboration between Juvenile and Mannie Fresh on Soul Ya Rags quickly became a local hit, selling nearly 200,000 copies. Building on this momentum, Cash Money formed the Hot Boys, consisting of Juvenile, BG, a returning Lil Wayne, and newcomer Turk. Their debut album, Get It How You Live, achieved impressive sales of 300,000 copies, solidifying Cash Money's growing influence in the hip-hop scene. Wendy Day of Rap Coalition, who played a crucial role in orchestrating No Limits' deal with Priority, collaborated with Cash Money to secure a groundbreaking deal with Universal Records, a legendary chapter in hip-hop history. The terms negotiated by Cash Money for this deal were extraordinary: $30 million for distribution, an upfront advance of $3 million, 85% of royalties, and complete ownership of their masters. On June 18, 1998, Cash Money officially became part of the Universal family. However, their initial release under Universal, How You Love That Vol. 2, which was a repackaged version of the Big Tymers' debut album released earlier that year, did not instill confidence in the large deal. While Mannie Fresh's beats were widely acclaimed, the Big Tymers, consisting of Mannie Fresh and Baby, had not yet solidified their personas or garnered the credibility to compensate for their substandard rhymes. In the same year, Cash Money Records struck gold with Juvenile's album 400 Degrees. In October, the label achieved its first national hit with Juvenile's single Ha. This hypnotic track catapulted Juvenile into stardom as his unique style and delivery resonated with a broader audience. The remix to Ha, featuring Jay-Z, further elevated the single's already significant profile. The momentum didn't stop there, as 1999 saw the push of Back That Ass Up as the next single from the album. The now iconic song became a massive hit and helped turn Juvenile into a household name. In the progression of 1999, Cash Money continued to demonstrate that the triumph of 400 Degrees was not a mere stroke of luck. BG's release, Chopper City in the Ghetto, hit the scene in April and swiftly achieved platinum status. This album marked a significant milestone for BG, as the track Bling Bling, featuring the Hot Boys and Big Tymers, became his most successful hit up to that point. The remarkable year of 1999 persisted with the release of the Hot Boys' Guerrilla Warfare during the summer, achieving platinum status and further contributing to the group's success. In the fall, Lil Wayne marked his solo debut with The Block Is Hot, which not only earned a platinum plaque but also showcased his individual success. Although Juvenile didn't match the massive sales of 400 Degrees with his subsequent release, The G Code, the album still achieved platinum certification. In 2000, following in the footsteps of Master P's I'm 'Bout It, Cash Money made their cinematic debut with Baller Blockin'. The movie's soundtrack served as a virtual Cash Money compilation, while also incorporating external talents like Nas, 8-Ball, and MJG, UGK, and E40. As the year drew to a close and 2001 loomed, the first signs of strain within the Cash Money empire became apparent. Despite a track record of consistent platinum success, albums were now achieving gold status instead. BG's Checkmate and Wayne's Lights Out, both released in late 2000 and possessing notable quality, did not generate the same level of excitement as previous records. This pattern persisted with Turk's debut, Young and Thuggin', which quickly faded into obscurity. Juvenile too faced challenges in replicating the triumph of Back That Ass Up with Mama Got Ass from 2001's Project English. While these albums still performed well, particularly in today's context, Cash Money releases were no longer the dominating sales force they had once been. Behind the scenes, financial disagreements started to come to light. Juvenile was the first to realize that he was not receiving proper compensation. In response, he sought the assistance of an entertainment lawyer and ultimately emerged victorious in the courtroom. Juvenile, the prominent artist of Cash Money Records, departed from the label, and soon after, BG and Turk also followed suit. Their departure marked the disbandment of the Hot Boys, leaving their third album, Let 'Em Burn, in a state of uncertainty. It would eventually be released in 2003. Cash Money Records made some attempts to expand, including the signing of West Coast veteran Mac 10, but this proved unsuccessful. By 2002, the roster had considerably shrunk, featuring Lil Wayne, the Big Tymers, and relatively unproven talents like Boo and Gotti, the D-Boys, Lack and Stone, and Mickey Halstead. There were some positives though. The Big Tymers' Hood Rich topped the Billboard charts and recaptured the platinum status that had escaped Cash Money the previous year. The turbulence within Cash Money Records began to subside with subsequent releases such as Lil Wayne's 500 Degrees and Baby's solo effort Birdman, both achieving moderate success. During this period, Lil Wayne notably showcased signs of improvement in his skills as an MC on 500 Degrees, coupled with standout performances on mixtapes alongside the New Orleans crew Scat Up. The year 2003 turned out to be quite unusual for Cash Money, marked by one of the label's most notable failures, Boo and Gotti's Perfect Timing. The most surprising turn of events occurred with Juvenile's comeback and the release of Juve the Great. Despite the seemingly unconventional reunion with Cash Money after their acrimonious split, it proved to be a triumphant return. Juvenile's album achieved platinum status, largely propelled by the success of the hit single Slow Motion, featuring the late Soulja Slim. The reconciliation was short-lived though, as Juvenile would depart once again in favor of a deal with Atlantic Records, making Juve the Great his final project with Cash Money. In 2004, another era came to a close as Mannie Fresh parted ways with Cash Money, marking the end of his last year with the label. Similar to many artists before him, financial disputes were the driving force behind the separation. Mannie Fresh's case was particularly significant, as he had played a pivotal role as the architect of Cash Money's success. With an incredible work ethic, he had produced nearly every Cash Money release in its entirety for a decade, contributing significantly to the label's identity. Despite the sour ending to the relationship, Mannie Fresh made a memorable exit by producing the majority of Lil Wayne's breakthrough album, Thaw Carter, and releasing his first solo album, The Mind of Mannie Fresh, before departing from the label. With Mannie Fresh's departure, Cash Money Records largely relied on Lil Wayne's ascent to superstardom. In 2005, Wayne's sequel, They Carter 2, was released, garnering both commercial success and critical acclaim. The same year marked the beginning of the Young Money offshoot, where Wayne brought on artists like Currency, Mac Main, Raw Dizzy, and Scat Up members such as Nut Day Kid, aka Kid Kid, and Gutta Gutta. Wayne's stardom peaked in 2008 with Thaw Carter 3, which became one of the most highly anticipated albums of the mid to late 2000s. Until 2009, Lil Wayne and Birdman remained the sole rap acts to release albums on Cash Money. Interestingly, none of the original Young Money roster released a project on the label. While Mac Main, Gutta Gutta, and T Street stayed on as part of the team, Currency achieved greater success as an independent artist. Additionally, Kid Kid found his breakthrough when 50 Cent signed him to the G-Unit imprint in 2011. In the late 2000s, Cash Money Records underwent a transformation, attracting new artists such as Drake, Tyga, Nicki Minaj, Corey Gunz, Jay Mills, Gutta Gutta, Lil Twist, Chanel, and many others. Lil Wayne later assumed the role of president at Cash Money Records before establishing his own label, Young Money Entertainment. This imprint played a pivotal role in introducing future stars like Drake and Nicki Minaj to the world. However, the harmony between Lil Wayne and Birdman took a downturn, leading to a highly publicized falling out that persisted for several years. The feud primarily revolved around financial disputes and the delayed release of Lil Wayne's highly anticipated projects. Lil Wayne accused Birdman and Cash Money Records of withholding royalties, failing to fulfill contractual obligations, and delaying the release of his highly anticipated album, The Carter 5. This dispute escalated into a legal battle, with Lil Wayne filing a lawsuit against Cash Money Records and Birdman in 2015. The lawsuit sought financial compensation and release from his contract. The legal conflict was eventually resolved in 2018 through a settlement. Lil Wayne reportedly received a substantial settlement, and as part of the resolution, he regained ownership of his Young Money imprint. This settlement marked the end of the long-standing legal disputes between Lil Wayne and Cash Money Records. Birdman has been a key figure in the music industry and is known for his business acumen, who together with his brother Slim built Cash Money Records, which has been influential in shaping the hip-hop scene, producing numerous successful albums and artists over the years.